want to welcome you to today's session. You realize by the end of week 1, we had covered module 1, which was basically talking about introduction to digital marketing. And through week 1, we were able to look at the session 1, which was about introduction to digital marketing, where we compared traditional marketing versus digital marketing. We also looked at benefits of digital marketing, and then we also winded up that session by looking at the career opportunities which are there in digital marketing space. Session 2, we were able to look at digital marketing channels. Then we also looked at customer journeys, then digital marketing funnel, and then we also ended that session with understanding the target audiences. That introduced us to buyer personas, and then we looked at it in details in session 3, where we also managed to look at market research techniques, some of the techniques that we can use to carry out market research. We also looked at competitor analysis, where we were able to say that as you plan to offer a service or a product, as you plan to start up a business, it is very vital for you to conduct an analysis about the competitors, because in most cases we start businesses or we start offering services, or we offer products which people are already offering. Literally, most of the time we present something that has already been presented by other people. But you as a person, as a digital marketer who wants to strategically position yourself, it is very important for you to analyze what the competitors are doing, what they are doing currently, and probably also understand what they are not doing well. Then use their weak points as a way to outcompete them. That brought us to the end of session 3, and it brought us to the end of module 1, which was about introduction to digital marketing. For today, we are basically looking at the beginning portion of week 2 content or module 2 content, which is basically talking about branding and the content marketing. And in this particular session, we want to basically look at basic introduction to branding, and then we shall try to break branding into 2 categories. We have personal branding, and then also we have business branding. And before we even start, I want you to think about something. Of course, most of the time, when you hear names of famous companies, when you hear names of a famous school, when you hear a name of a famous individual, there is something which comes in your mind. For example, let us begin with companies. When you hear about these popular and big companies which are existing, there is something which strikes into your mind. Also, when you look at the education sector, when you hear about big schools, when you hear about those schools which have made names, there is something which comes into your mind. When you talk about individuals, there are those particular individuals, there are those people that when you hear about their names, there is something which strikes in your mind. And I want you to basically share with me your experience. I know you have heard about some companies, you have heard about schools, you have heard about some individuals that are really sounding. Can you share with me some of even if it is just one company, which company is that one that you have grown up hearing about it, and when somebody talks about that particular company, something comes in your mind. Can you kindly share with me just one company that you know it is a big company, it has been there existing and it is still existing? Move it. Move it, yeah. So when you hear about move it, what comes into your mind? All right, that is good. Now, just like that company, move it. Okay? Today, in today's session, we are going to understand what really pulls attention, what brings attention into your mind about an individual, what brings your attention about maybe about a specific company or an individual. And this session is going to just give us a brief highlight and a clear understanding of what really you as a digital marketer, what you need to work on if people are, if they are to have you in their minds. Like the way you've just mentioned, for you, when you think about maybe cosmetics, when you think about smearing oils, when you think about Vaseline, the very first company that comes in your mind, it is Movit. Just because there is something that you believe about Movit, not so? Yeah, so today we are looking at branding, okay? We are looking at introduction to branding, and then later, towards the end of our session, we shall break branding into personal branding and also business branding. Now, some people, when they hear, when they think about a certain company, when they think about maybe a school, when they think about a certain individual, what idea that comes in their mind? Some people think about the logo of that company. They think about the reputation of the company. They think about the quality of their services. And I thank God that this one, you touched it. You talked about good products or the quality of the products of Moviti. For you, that is the outstanding reason as to why Moviti is at the back of your mind. Not so? Yeah, so those are some of the things which touch people's hearts and minds. So the experience you have with Movit, maybe you have used their products for some time and you gained a certain experience. There is a certain way you felt when you bought their products and you utilized them. There is something, there is that feeling that you felt satisfaction that, yeah, I think I didn't spend my money for no reason. I think it was worth me paying my money in order for me to get this maybe smearing oil or cosmetic from Movit. So that is all what branding is about. So in today's session, we are going to understand the meaning of branding. We are going to look at why branding is important in digital marketing. Of course, when we understand what it means, we are going to look at why branding is very important in digital marketing. And then we are going to understand the difference between personal branding and also business branding. Then we shall finally look at how individuals, how a person like you, Madam Tricia, how you can build a strong brand online. how you can build a strong brand as a person, but also you can build a strong brand for a business or a company or an organization. How best you can build it online. So in today's session, those are the objectives we are aiming to achieve. By the end of this particular session, we should be in position to first define the exact meaning of branding. And of course, many people think that branding is only about creating a logo or choosing beautiful colors. But literally, in today's session, we shall discover that branding goes beyond that. We shall discover that when we talk about branding, it is not just a matter of you thinking about a logo. You know, many times, most people, when they think of coming up with a brand or coming up with a business, the very first thing they think of is a logo, and it may be the color of the colors that can be used in the company. But when we talk about branding goes way beyond just you thinking about the logo and the colors. So secondly, we are going to dig deeper and understand what branding means. So then secondly, we shall try to explain why branding is important in digital marketing. You are a person who is going to be marketing online. We are going to understand why is it very important. Why is it so important for you to be knowing the importance of branding even online? Because in today's online environment, customers are interacting with many businesses every day. And trust me, if you are a person who is going to be marketing online, being it that very many people are always marketing, very many people, very many businesses, or very many companies, very many organizations, they are existing online. For your business or for your organization, for you as an individual to stand out, you need to know how to come up with a strong brand online. Because when your brand is strong online, it will stand out, and also it will remain memorable for whoever comes across it. Thirdly, we are going to look at the difference between personal branding and business branding. Of course, when we talk about personal branding, we shall be understanding it that personal branding focuses on an individual, marketing yourself as a person. Meanwhile, business branding focuses on an organization. How do you market the organization you are working with? How do you market the company you are working with? How do you market your business? So business branding focuses so much about that. Meanwhile, personal branding, you basically look at you as an individual. What are some of the things basically that you need to do in order for you to position yourself in a position whereby you stand out online? You have an online reputation, and people really feel you are a person of value online. And then finally, through this session, we expect to be able to identify the different elements of a strong brand, and also we should be able to develop simple branding ideas. So our session is going to be rotating around those 4 key areas. Those are the key objectives that we are planning to look at. So we want to proceed. Remember, we said we are going to look at an introduction to branding, and then we shall also look at personal branding, and then we shall also look at business branding. But let's first begin by understanding. Let us answer this very important question: what branding is. To me, I categorically define branding as a process of creating a unique identity and image in the minds of customers. So that process where you think of creating that unique identity, that uniqueness, you create that uniqueness, create that unique identity and that unique image in the mind of a customer. That is what we call branding in summary. So branding is basically a process where you push yourself in a position whereby the customer who once bought something from you, even a customer who is about to buy something from you, by just mere looking at, by just mere hearing about you, by just mere looking at maybe your online platform, maybe your social media platform, maybe your website, that person is able to that person is motivated to believe that you are the best among the people who are doing the same thing that you are doing. So when you do what we call holistic branding, you'll find that customers will ideally, you are going to capture their minds. Your service or your products that you are offering, the customers you are interfacing with, the customers that are always buying things from you, they are going to consider them to be the best out of the available options that are there. You might be carrying out a business of maybe like smearing oil, and there is also another person who is also carrying the same business. But when you do what we call branding, when someone buys your smearing oil, that customer should be in a position to think about you as the best. The person should not be able to regret on the reason as to why that person bought that thing from you. I also want to give you an example. When someone creates a business, of course, the very first thing, I've talked about it already, the very first thing that person thinks about is creating a beautiful logo. Yes, a logo is very important, but it is only one part of branding. Now, a complete brand, what we call a brand, okay? A complete brand contains elements which include the identity of the business. A complete brand should include the customer experience. What are people, what is the experience of the customers with your service or your product? And then the emotions people associate with the business. When people think about your business, what do they think about? Do they think about it as the best? Do they think about it as something which is substandard? Do they think about it as something which is just there? So that emotion and the trust, it is an element of, it is one of the elements of a complete brand. And then the trust that customers develop from the services or the products that you are offering, it contributes to your brand. Now, for example, last time I compared two schools which are charging differently. Today I want to share with you another example. I want to talk about two schools that may be having similar buildings, and they're also offering the same courses. But one school may be remembered because of the quality of teaching. The school might be also having good customer care. The staff in that school, they are good at communicating very well to the customers. And then secondly, the success the success that the students who go and study from that school, it is also remarkable. Now, those three things, when you put them together, it becomes part of that school's brand. So that school will be known, it will be known for quality teaching. That school will also be known for good customer care. That school will be known to be training students who are going to be successful. So those three key things, they contribute to the reputation. They contribute to what people think about that particular school. So I want you to remember that a logo is just going to represent a brand, but a brand represents a complete experience, what the customer goes through, the total life cycle of the customer's experience. And when you look at your screen, you can see what we call a brand. It is more of what people think about your product and service. It is, your brand represents the customer's experience. Your brand represents the emotions. What emotion do people get when they think about your brand? What do they think about? Do they gain the trust? Do they trust the things that you are offering? Do they trust the services you are offering to them? So those things, they contribute and build what we call a brand. That's why we are saying a brand is, it is not just a logo, it is not just a name, it is not just a slogan. A brand is the process of creating that unique identity and that image for a person, for a product, for a service, or for an organization in the minds of a customer. In other words, a brand, when you work on what we call a brand, you make people think about you as the first resort, not as being the last resort. You know, when it comes to schools, when parents are thinking about schools, there are those schools which rush very well, they rush very fast to come in the minds of the parents. And there are those schools parents think of as the last resort. When they have failed maybe to maybe get money or get resources to take their children to the schools that they thought at the very beginning. I know even yourself, whenever you are thinking about buying certain things, whenever you are thinking about buying maybe like smearing oil, like the way you've shared your experience, the very first brand that you think of is probably Movit. But Movit is not the only brand available. It is not the only company. It is not the only business that is selling maybe cosmetics. But there is that reason. There is that trust that you have developed in your heart about their products. That's why you are not thinking about them as the last resort. You think about them as the first resort. So I don't know, I want you to share with me whether you are trying to understand what we call a brand. A brand is not just the name of the company. It is not just you having the slogan. It is not you just having a company with colors, okay? A brand goes beyond that. A brand requires you to work on what people think about you, what the customers experience about your products or services, what the trust that the customers have in your products and services. I don't know, Madam Tricia, whether you've understood what we call a brand and what consists of a brand. So branding literally requires you to take an extra step to make people gain that trust in what you are offering, in that service that you are offering. So if you are offering maybe like smearing oil, for example, okay, you are selling smearing oil, you should also, when you are marketing it, on top of you having a logo for that smearing oil, on top of you having the name for that smearing oil, on top of you having a specific color that you are using to market that smearing oil, the smearing oil itself, it should be able to serve the purpose as to why someone is buying that oil. Otherwise, if you decorate a product or a service which is substandard, in the long run, someone will buy it, but after using it and the person does not gain the results that he or she was expecting, the person will drop your product or service and will opt to go to another product or service. Because when this thing that they are buying from you, when it serves the purpose, when it does what the customer wants, that customer will trust your products and your company or your business, and that customer will talk good about you. That customer will actually trust you, and someone cannot speak about you when the person does not trust you. Do you agree with me? Yeah, someone has to begin by trusting what you are offering. And that trust comes when someone gets good experience with that product or that service. Once the service is good and the customer is satisfied very well, that customer will have the confidence to talk about your product or service. And as he or she is talking about it, that customer is literally pushing your brand, that person is contributing to the sounding of your brand. You find that your brand will be sounding like the way you hear Movit is sounding, the way you hear Coca-Cola is sounding, the way you hear MTN is sounding. It is because there is something unique about them. Okay? Yeah, so that uniqueness is what creates what we call a brand. Even you as a person, you can be a brand. You hear about these people, these famous musicians like Spice Diana. Which other famous musician do you know? Those are individuals. And because they are famous, their brand speaks for them. For example, when you think about Chameleon, what do you think makes Chameleon to be famous and known than other musicians? What pushes him in front of other musicians? He has been consistent, not so? Yeah, he didn't just make one hit song and then he disappeared. He has been making hit after hit for some quite long time. So that is the same thing. The way you see Chameleon has been consistent. He raised the bar up to a certain level. Then he kept on maintaining it for all the years he has been a musician. Even when it comes to companies or businesses, that is exactly what is supposed to happen. You are supposed to position yourself at a certain level and maintain that level. Not this year you are doing good, next year you are doing bad. When you are not consistent, your brand can never be recognized. It cannot shout, it cannot outcompete your competitors. So you have to be consistent. If you are providing quality products or services, mean it and do it consistently time and again. When you do it time and again, the more people will build trust in what you are offering. And the moment people build trust in what you are offering, then they will always think about you. You will always be in their minds whenever they think about something connected to what you are offering. So that is the power of branding. So branding is how a business or a person presents itself and how people recognize and remember it. I remember you just said Chameleon is famous because of the good songs that he has been creating over and over again. And because of those good songs, Chameleon is recognized. That is a big artist in Uganda. And also, people do not just recognize him, but they remember him in the history of the music industry in Uganda. And for that reason, that we can confidently say Chameleon is a big brand in the Ugandan music industry. So just that is on a personal basis. But now, when we talk about business branding, you transfer those habits to now a business or to a company or to an organization. The business should also be able to present itself to a position whereby people recognize it as the best. And not just recognizing it, they should be able to remember it time and again. So that is what we call branding. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I want us now to look at how brands come to life. And we are going to look at two examples. The first one, we are going to imagine, we're going to think of a computer training school. How can that computer training school become a brand that can be recognized, but also can be remembered by the potential people who need its services? How can people recognize and remember a computer training school? People may be able to recognize it through maybe having professional instructors. A good computer training school can also be recognized and remembered for maybe offering quality training. Maybe the school can also be recognized and remembered because of having modern computer laboratories. And then above everything, a computer training school can also be recognized and remembered for basically having student success stories. If a student goes through a training in a computer training school, and that student becomes successful after completing the course, maybe that student is able to get a job somewhere, and that student is able to utilize the skills and the knowledge that he or she gained from the computer training school. Then in the long run, as more students go through that training from that school will develop what we call a brand, because that school will be remembered. The big community will be recognizing it as a good school, and then also they will be remembering it. Most of the time, people remember good things so very well. So when a student is trained very well and then gets good practical skills and then is able to get a job after the course, trust me, that student will never forget that school. And that student will talk good about that particular school. So those are the things which create the image of the school in the people's minds. When people think about that computer training school, if they are to imagine it to be a good school, it should be having those attributes. Now, I want us to look at a salon. What really what makes people recognize and remember a good salon brand? Probably customers may remember it because of the quality hairstyles, maybe because of the friendly customer service, maybe because of the affordable prices. Remember, there is where you talked about prices contributing to a brand. Now you can see when a salon has affordable prices, somewhere, somehow, people will be able to, customers will be able to remember it, and they can be able to think about it as an alternative. Maybe people can also think of a salon as a beautiful environment. So when the customers think about that salon, they already have an expectation of the experience they will receive. So when customers think about these things that are listed down, whenever they go to that salon, those are the things they expect to be done in that salon. And if those things are done to the customer, yes, that customer can be able to tell many more other people about that salon being a good salon. And the more they talk about it as a good salon, just know they are pushing that salon as a brand. So I want us to quickly look at the importance of branding in digital marketing. Now, for you, by the time you complete this course, you are going to be doing digital marketing. You're going to be practicing it. So you need to know the importance of branding in digital marketing, because branding is also very important. It is a very important element in digital marketing. Now, the first importance is recognition. So a strong brand helps customers easily identify a business. And I want to give you an example again. When customers see a certain logo and they see a color and they also see a design style, they immediately know the business behind it. For example, when you think about MTN, you know, when someone talks about MTN, you know how their logo, how it can come in your mind, not so? You also know that if that unique color which comes in your mind very fast about MTN. Which color is that? Yeah, it is yellow. So when people think about businesses, when they think about companies, when they think about organizations, branding, having those companies or businesses having their branding done very well online, it also helps to recognize. It helps people who are searching for information online to recognize that company very easily, because people can be able to see the company's logo, they can be able to see the colors which are attributed to that particular company or organization. The second importance is building trust. Customers are more comfortable buying from businesses they recognize and trust. No customer is comfortable going to buy something from a company or a business that he or she does not trust. So when a company or a business has a professional website, for example, or when that company or business has very active social media presence, that customer can make very, very comfortable decisions, because the customer is confident about that business. So if the customer is to buy something from that particular business or company through an online platform like a website, that customer feels very comfortable because he or she trusts the online platform very well. The third importance is differentiation. Now, you know, today many businesses offer very similar products and services. I said it earlier. Most of the things that people are thinking of offering. Most of the services and the products people are thinking of offering, already there are people who are already offering them. Now, when your brand is strong, when your brand is famous and your brand is known, it becomes very easy for a customer who is looking out for something to be able to identify you, or even on the online platforms. Now, I want us to look at an example of maybe two salons again. Two salons may provide the same hairstyles, but one salon may become known for excellent customer service and premium experience. Meanwhile, the other may not be offering the same service. Now, this one that offers very excellent hairstyles, this one which offers very excellent customer care, this one will outcompete the other one, which has poor customer care, which is still tied to outdated hairstyles. So because your salon is famous and is known for offering the best, every customer will always think about you as the best alternative, and for that reason, that will differentiate you from the rest of the salons which are available. Then finally, branding creates loyalty. A strong brand encourages customers to return and recommend the business to others. Like Moviti that you talked about. Because Moviti captured your heart and your mind already, it is a strong brand. It will always encourage you to keep going back to Moviti, to buy Moviti products, and also recommend them to others. For that reason, you will not be able to leave Movit and go to other competitors. But what keeps you locked to Movit, it is because Movit is a strong brand. They have captured your trust, they have captured your emotions, your experience with their products and services. You consider it to be excellent. When you think about Movit, you think about it as the best company. So those are the key reasons or the key importance of branding in digital marketing. The first one is branding creates recognition. The second one, branding builds trust and credibility. Branding enables customers to be able to differentiate you and your competitors. And then branding also creates loyalty. It makes people to be locked to you. Even if they come across your competitors, they come across people who are offering services like what you are offering, they will forego them and then they come back to you. All that can happen. They can be able to recognize you, they can be able to trust you, they can be able to differentiate you from your competitors, they can be able to come back to you when your brand is strong, when your brand is good. So I want us now to shift and look at elements of branding. The first element is the brand name. When you think of branding, the first element is a brand name. Of course, that is the identity that customers will use to recognize a business. For example, I've presented there a name like SharpTech School of Computing. That is a brand name. Movit is a brand name. Coca-Cola is a brand name. Okay? And then the second element is the logo. A logo is that a visual symbol that creates recognition and makes a business memorable. Like Coca-Cola, they have their logo. When you look at it, you can be able to remember them. You can be able to recognize and remember that this is the Coca-Cola. And so it is very advisable that as you are doing what we call branding, you should think about the brand name, think about the logo of the business or company, and then think about the brand colors. They communicate a lot also. That's why you see you are able to recognize MTN because of their color. You are able to recognize Airtel because of their color. Then we have another element is a slogan or a motto. When you think of a company or a business, you should think about a slogan. I've given you an example of our school's slogans. Our school's slogan is scaling generations. So as you think of a company or a business, those elements are very important in your branding process. And then finally is the brand voice. This refers to how the brand communicates. A brand can have a professional voice, a friendly voice, or inspirational voice, depending on its audience. Let's look at personal branding very fast. And personal branding, we are saying, it is basically marketing yourself. Personal branding is the process of creating and managing your own identity and reputation as a professional or expert. In simple terms, personal branding is how you market yourself. And how do you market yourself? You market yourself through your knowledge, through your skills, through your values, and through your professional identity. So the way I market myself basing on my skills, I market myself basing on the knowledge that I have, I market myself basing on the values that I have, I market myself basing on my personality. What do people think about me when they hear about my name? What do they think about me? So, personal branding is basically creating and managing your own identity and reputation as a professional or as an expert. So that is what we call personal branding. And now let's look at the impact of personal branding. What happens when you market yourself? There are some benefits that you gain when you market yourself as a person. So personal branding creates several benefits, and the first of them is personal branding creates professional identity, and this helps people to understand who you are. It helps people understand what you do. It helps people understand what value you provide. For example, if you're a graphic designer sharing design tutorials online, you become recognized for graphic design skills. Very many people will get to know you as a graphic designer. They will get to know you as a person who has graphic design skills. The second benefit is personal branding creates opportunities. A strong online reputation can attract employers. When you have a very sounding online reputation, when your online presence is shouting, it creates opportunities for employers to recognize you, to be able to identify you and see you. It creates a platform where clients can be able to identify you and probably buy products from you. It also creates a platform where you can get business partners. Then thirdly, it builds authority. When you consistently share useful knowledge, people begin to see you as someone they can trust. I want us now to look at how do you build your personal brand online? How are you as a person? How can you be able to build your personal brand? How can you be able to build your reputation online such that people can be able to recognize you? So when you're building your personal brand online, there are some platforms that you can consider to create accounts on and utilize those platforms in the rightful way. So let us look at some of those platforms. The very first one on top there is LinkedIn. It is called LinkedIn. It is useful for professional achievements and also career networking. If you want to showcase your professional achievements, you want to network with people who are doing the same things that you are doing, then you should consider creating an account on LinkedIn. Because from LinkedIn, even people who are always employing people who are looking for employees, they always go to this platform, they look at people's profiles, and then they see how the skills that people are having. YouTube helps individuals to establish authority by sharing knowledge through videos. You realize the video that you watched it from a YouTube channel. I've created that YouTube channel because I'm purposing to be sharing knowledge, sharing ICT knowledge using that YouTube channel. So I'll be recording videos and I upload them there. So YouTube helps an individual like me and also you to establish authority by sharing knowledge through videos. And then we also have Facebook and Instagram that allows people to share professional content and also show their personality. And then you can also think of having a personal website where we can serve as your professional portfolio, where people can find your achievement and services, where you can show details about yourself, what you do, the services that you offer, and then the achievements that you have been able to attain. So if you are thinking of branding yourself online, if you are thinking of establishing your online presence, I would encourage you to have accounts on these particular platforms, not only TikTok. So when we think about organization or business branding, we are thinking about you as a person being able to market the company. You market the services of the company, market the products of the company. You create a unique identity for that company, for that product or service that the company is offering, extending it beyond the individual to the entire operation. So I've given 2 examples. For example, you can think of a restaurant. You think of it as a business. You market everything about that restaurant, right from the menu design, customer service, then the social presence. Then the other one is a computer school. You market the training quality. You talk about the certificates that the computer school is offering. You talk about the student success stories. So that is what we call business branding. You look at the company or the business or the organization holistically. You push what that business or that company is offering to the public. So we are supposed to be comparing personal branding versus business branding. Of course, personal branding focuses on an individual, meanwhile business branding focuses on an organization. Personal branding builds personal reputation, meanwhile business branding builds the company's reputation, what people think about the company. But personal branding, you build the reputation, what people think about you as a person. Personal branding, you use personal skills and expertise. And then business branding, you use the products and services to market the business or the company. I've given you an example. John is a person. His personal brand he can be looked at as an ICT trainer. Now, when it comes to business branding, we think of companies or organizations or schools like Sharptech Computer School. Branding, of course, it is the foundation that supports digital marketing activities. I think I'm going to rush very fast because it is already 9:40. So branding is the foundation that supports digital marketing activities. Once a brand is created, digital platforms help communicate that brand. once you are able to establish a brand, once people are always thinking about your company or your business. Now, as when it comes to digital marketing, the online platforms like social media, like the websites, like the videos can help you to push and support that brand. So once a brand is created, digital platforms help that brand to communicate. They help the company to communicate about itself. For example, social media allows businesses to share updates. Social media can also allow a business to be able to engage with customers. Social media can also enable a business to be able to promote its own products. When we think about websites, a business can use a website to provide detailed information about its products and services. A business can also use a website to build credibility. And then a website can also be used by the business to create an official online presence. Then when we think about videos, videos can help businesses or brands to demonstrate products. Videos can be used to tell stories about the products and the services that the businesses are offering. So videos can enable businesses to be able to connect emotionally with the audiences. So in summary, digital marketing can use, through digital marketing, we can be able to use digital platforms in order for us to grow and strengthen the brands that we are having. Then in summary, a successful digital marketing strategy starts with a strong brand. Once you have a strong brand, once you have a brand that people trust, then once you have a brand that people recognize, then it becomes very easy for you to connect with the potential customers through digital platforms where you are going to reach out to them. So we have been able to look at 3 key things, that is branding. We have been able to define it. We have also looked at personal branding as something that promotes you as an individual. Meanwhile, business branding promotes the whole organization or company. We have also looked at some digital platforms which we can use to amplify or push our personal brands or our businesses. So there is an activity here that I'm going to request you to do. You are going to identify 3 brands that you know very well. You document what makes them memorable. For example, their name, their logo, their customer experience, and then the online presence. Then the personal brand profile. You are going to draft your brand name. For example, for me, I put there John the ICT trainer, but I would want to see Madam Atricia, maybe Atricia something. You are going to build your personal brand name. And then you are going to outline your core skills. Of course, these skills should be connected to your brand, to your personality, or what you know. Remember, we said when it comes to personal branding, you brand yourself basing on your skills, your personality, and your knowledge. Okay? Yeah, so you try to draft your brand name, your core skills, then the target audience. Who are the people you are targeting with your skills? If you are an ICT trainer, who are you targeting? And what skills are you having? What are you planning to train them? And then your central brand message. Maybe it could be your slogan. Then business brand launch. Choose a business type. It can be a salon, can be a restaurant. I saw already you created an online survey about a restaurant. So you choose a business type. Then you're going to help me develop the business name. Think about a logo idea for that business. Think about a slogan. Think about the target customers. And then the primary social media platform. Which social media platform are you planning to put as a platform where you can market your business from? Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's session. I hope you have learned something about personal branding versus business branding.